maybe go out to the members, or maybe go back to your sponsors or the people who give you the grant money and saying, hey guys, can you maybe just give us that money a little bit earlier? Because we do have this particular cash flow hole that's looming ahead of us. And so again, all I can say, all I can emphasize is cash flow is king. It's the lifeblood of any business or any organization that has a financial foundation to it. And if you're going to get one thing right, make sure it's managing the cash flow.
Gareth, what's a practical way of doing that? Month to month, what would it look like?
Well, you do something very similar to what Cheryl's just shown you up there, is that you've got, and that's the profit and loss. You sort of drop it into an Excel spreadsheet. You go week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. If you are of mind to go that far out, or maybe even only 4 weeks out, depending on, again, as I say, the complexity, and sit down and stop and think to yourself, right, where's the money going to come from? And that's your cash inflow. And it's not a question of I don't want to get into the ins and outs of accrual accounting and all that type of thing. This is the pure cash foundation. Somebody gives you some money, you log it as cash inflow. Somebody needs some money paid, you log it as cash outflow. And it's as simple as doing that. I think, try and keep it simple. In businesses, there are any number of packages around that you can buy that'll do all sorts of cash flow projections and forecasts. And I always just try and keep it simple. Cash in, cash out. What are the components to it? And you would know your own organizations better than anybody else could. And as I say, it does involve a bit of crystal ball gazing, but it's well worth doing it.
Thanks, Gareth. We don't have a cash flow forecast, so to speak, at Volunteering Auckland. But we've got month by month accounts that we've shown you, so we can see where it's meant to come in. And at every board meeting, our treasurer does his report, and funnily enough, he always talks about cash flow. And I always sit there like going, well, now if the P&L's fine, we're 1 month behind, it's the timing thing, what's the big deal? But Gareth's point on knowing the importance myself, and every month, our treasurer goes through and he just says, timing-wise, we're here, and it's comforting. It's also very important when you talk to your funders, if you're going to trust and other fundraisers, that you can demonstrate processes like this in place and you're sustainable. Right, so that concludes the looking at the financial statements. I'm just going to round that off before we break into the workshop. So this is right here. This slide is to just re-emphasise the importance of the time and engagement, because you've done all this great work and you've got these financials. Now what? Well, that's your starting point. It's actually only really your starting point. These are draft until you've got everyone's sign-off and buy-in. So you've got to go back, check it against the strategic plan. Which things do we, you may have to kick some things out because you can't afford it. Which things do we prioritise? So the strategic plan. In practice, that means going back to the trustees, the board, the committee, and saying to them, look, this is where we're heading, we're in the right direction, and they might tweak it. So you need time to have that meeting. You've got to have that time in the calendar to get your statements, put them, the board to actually see them, a week in their inbox, time to look at them, a meeting to hear their thoughts. Then you can have a look, right, so you've got your existing commitments, evaluate the new initiatives, prioritise, you can allocate the resources, look at what you've got to build reserves, then update the business plan. The business plan's got to talk to the financials. So you had this, you've got this great business plan draft, everyone says it's great, but now you've figured out you can't actually afford all the things in that business plan. So you've got to, the general manager's got to update the business plan. The trustee's got the tough job of sitting down with the general manager and saying, we can't, I don't think we can do all of this. We've got to chop some stuff out. Or an amazing job of saying, actually we've got plenty for reserves and we can do some more. So you've got to update the business plan. So that's another meeting, more time. But this is valuable time, it's really important. So, the point is about organising yourself and having the time to do these things. Last point, monitor, evaluate, and take action. So once you've got everyone sign off and you're racing ahead, make sure in the calendar you've got time to review where you're going and how you're doing. Are you on plan? How are you going against the budget? If your revenue's low, you need to take some action. These can be really tough things to do, but it's much better to do it early rather than later. So, we'll come back to efficiency of financial process. We're going to do the breakout workshop. So, have a little wriggle in your seats, wake up, get the blood flowing. I'm going to go back to a slide earlier. And this is what I'm going to ask you to do. This is the challenge, right? So, in your tables, let's have a crack at actually making a start at your financial planning calendar. So your calendar is going to have a bunch of things in it like this that are already there that you have to do, and you need to find some slots in between those to do all these things for financial planning. Have the meeting with your board, update your business plan, have a draft business plan, show it to your staff, get buy-in, start the financials, go back to the business plan, check it against the strategic plan with the board. So we're going to spend the next 15 minutes just trying to put this down on a piece of paper. Right? It's going to be, it's going to have a little fun with it. It's a bit of a challenge. I've given each table a blank sheet with spaces to fill in. So what would be really great is if one of you on your table is the volunteer to use your sports club, and the rest of you help build that calendar. So chuck in what you know. There's common things out there you all have to do, like your AGM. Most of you will probably have to have an auditor come through. Put all those things on there first, and then try and put down a calendar that's going to work, that you can do, and actually have enough time to do this financial planning process. So, in your groups, have a crack at doing that. Can everybody find a piece of paper?